How's the royal family? I pray that everyone is doing well. Yes, this is true, my royal family. This is truly terrifying. Scientists discover ocean waters boiling with methane in the Arctic. Oh my goodness. And I did some research on this, my royal family. Now, I don't want to read about these trips that these people have taken. That is not interested in me, but I will leave the article for the royal family to read at their leisure. I want to get into, like I always say, the juicy parts. So basically, scientists studying the consequences of methane emissions from underwater permafrost in the Arctic Ocean announced this week that they found a 50 square foot area of Eastern Siberian Ocean boiling with methane bubbles. Now, let me skip that because that's the crap. Let's see. This is the most powerful steep I have ever been able to discover. Lead scientist Igor, whatever his last name is, said Monday, using a term from methane gas boiling up from the seafloor to the surface. No one has ever recorded anything similar. Okay. There was something in this article that knocked me down that Lisa had mentioned, because she's been doing some stories on some stuff pretty similar. Permafrost is a mix of soil, rock, sand bound together by ice that stay frozen 2 or more years straight. As human activity causes global temperatures to rise, the world's permafrost is thawing, releasing this is what got me, ancient bacteria and viruses, as well as greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide and methane that further heat the planet. Wow. Compared with carbon dioxide, methane has a shorter life in the atmosphere, but is better at trapping radiation. I didn't know that. Amazing. Our Father is amazing. So methane impact is more than 25 times greater than that of carbon dioxide over a 100-year period, according to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agencies. Experts are increasingly concerned about the consequences of thawing permafrost that is located both beneath land and water in the planet's coldest region. Last week, the Washington Post reported on a stunning, dramatic scenes, and I'll show y'all that too, from a region of East Side. Okay, one was Siberia, one is Siberia. Forgive me, I'm pronouncing it wrong. I'm jacking it up, but y'all get it. Where sections of many older wooden buildings already sagging toward the ground, rendering uninhabitable by unevenly thawing earth in rivers and raising and running faster, sweeping away entire neighborhoods. Now, my royal family, y'all know I love researching. So when I was doing my research, I got to put the pictures back up. When I was doing my research, my royal family, I did some deep digging, and this ain't new. They've been knowing about this. How many years they've been knowing about this? I don't have a clue at all. But it's something that my dear father taught me many years ago. When the enemy family report anything, it's been going on for a long ass time. So it's at the point, it's there, on point, that there is nothing that Esau can do at all. Esau is running scared because they've been out here checking the environment, and like I said, certain things they don't like. They don't like the sun. They can't make up a law. They can't put the sun in jail. There's certain things that they cannot do at all when it comes to the environment. I'm a person that absolutely do not believe in HARP at all. And I know many of y'all come here and I don't argue with you. We all entitled to our opinions. Now, I have two videos I'm going to show the royal family. One of the videos I'm going to show the royal family was in 2017. So let's listen to this presentation.
The Sleeping Giant in Arctic Permafrost, presented by Science at NASA. Flying low and slow above the pristine terrain of Alaska's North Slope, research scientist Charles Miller of NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory surveys the white expanse of tundra and permafrost below. On the horizon, a long dark line appears. His plane draws nearer, and the mysterious object reveals itself to be a massive herd of migrating caribou, stretching for miles. It's a sight Miller won't soon forget. Seeing those caribou marching single file across the tundra puts what we're doing here in the Arctic into perspective, says Miller, who is on a 5-year mission named CARVE to study how climate change is affecting the Arctic's carbon cycle. CARVE is short for the Carbon in Arctic Reservoirs Vulnerability Experiment. Now in its 3rd year, the airborne campaign is testing the hypothesis that Arctic carbon reservoirs are vulnerable to warming, while delivering the first source maps of greenhouse gases, carbon dioxide, and methane. About 24 scientists from 12 institutions are participating. The Arctic is critical to understanding global climate, says Miller. Climate change is already happening in the Arctic, faster than its ecosystems can adapt. Looking at the Arctic is like looking at the canary in the coal mine for the entire Earth system. Over hundreds of millennia, Arctic permafrost soils have accumulated vast stores of organic carbon, an estimated 1,400 to 1,850 billion metric tons of it. That's about half of all the estimated organic carbon stored in Earth's soils. In comparison, about 350 billion metric tons of carbon have been emitted from all fossil-fueled combustion and human activity since 1850. Most of the Arctic's sequestered carbon is located in thaw-vulnerable topsoils within 3 meters of the surface. But, as scientists are learning, permafrost and its stored carbon may not be as permanent as the name implies, and that has them concerned. Permafrost soils are warming even faster than Arctic air temperatures, as much as 1.5 to 2.5 degrees Celsius in just the past 30 years, says Miller. As heat from Earth's surface penetrates into permafrost, it stimulates soil processes that mobilize these organic carbon reservoirs and release them into the atmosphere as carbon dioxide and methane, upsetting the Arctic's carbon balance and greatly exacerbating global warming. CARVE campaign flights are conducted aboard a specially instrumented NASA C-23 Sherpa aircraft from NASA's Wallops Flight Facility on Wallops Island in Virginia. The C-23 won't win any beauty contests. Its pilots refer to it as a UPS truck with a bad nose job. Inside, it's extremely noisy. The pilots and crew wear noise-canceling headphones to communicate. When you take the headphones off, it's like being at a NASCAR race, Miller quipped. But what the C-23 lacks in beauty and quiet, it makes up for in reliability and its ability to fly down in the mud. Most of the time it flies about 150 meters above ground level, with periodic ascents to higher altitudes to collect background data. On board the plane, sophisticated instruments sniff the atmosphere for greenhouse gases. We need to fly very close to the surface in the Arctic to capture the interesting exchanges of carbon taking place between the Earth's surface and atmosphere, Miller says. The CARVE team flew test flights in 2011 and science flights in 2012. So far in 2013, they've completed 3 monthly campaigns in April, May, and June, with 4 more to go. From a base in Fairbanks, Alaska, the C-23 flies up to 8 hours a day to sites on Alaska's North Slope, interior, and Yukon River Valley over tundra, permafrost, boreal forests, peatlands, and wetlands. Soaring over the Arctic terrain, Miller has seen many things he won't forget. Like the caribou, the data may prove unforgettable too. For more news from the ends of the earth and beyond, visit science.nasa.gov.
I thought this was a really good video, my royal family, for us to watch. And when I was paying very close attention, I seen, I think it was 1981. But then what popped up in my head is that song that, and I forget the title of it, that Marvin Gaye sung, "Oh Mercy, Mercy Me." Then that song was done in the early 70s that Marvin Gaye did. I don't know who wrote the song. He possibly could have wrote the song, but whoever wrote the song, they had foresight, and it came from us. And now the enemy wants to stay in a complete state of denial, looking at what they are looking at, and they are control freaks. And you heard what the lady was saying about permafrost. The enemy put that name on that permafrost, and thinking that permafrost would keep everything intact. But see, all these theories and hypotheses that the scientists are coming up with according to the environment is not holding true at all. So listen to this video. Now, this video was done this year. It was done in February. So let's listen to this nut. That's how Esau gets down. Make sure I got the volume up here for the family.
You know, there are certain aspects of the climate change problem that for some reason have been seized upon by sort of the catastrophists, people who sometimes seem like they actually want to believe that we are committed to the extinction of the human race. And there is this movement, as you know, and there's some almost cult-like figures in that movement who have declared that we have only 10 years until humans are extinct, and there's nothing we can possibly do about it. And if that were really true, then there were no agency in the actions that we take and that our policymakers take, then it's really a very convenient framing for polluting interests and politicians in their pay. And so it actually leads us to the same place as outright denial of climate change itself. And unfortunately, one of the components of this sort of catastrophism, this prophecy of inevitable doom that is promoted by some individuals, one of the components of that is this idea that there's a methane bomb, that there's so much methane that is previously stored in the permafrost and in the coastal shelves of the Arctic Ocean, and so much of it now is going to be destabilized and escape into the atmosphere, that it's going to double or triple the warming, and again will lead to utter doom on our part. And interestingly, when you take the promoters of that bad science, that pseudoscience, to task, their response is almost as visceral and angry as the sorts of responses you encounter from climate change deniers. They seem to be psychologically invested in the notion that our peril is inevitable. And when you challenge them on it, and for good reason, because the science doesn't support this. The best carbon cycle scientists who have studied this problem say, yeah, there's a certain amount of methane that it could be mobilized and it will add to the warming, but it's a small contribution compared to the warming we are causing by the burning of fossil fuels. And so it's a cop-out, right? It's sort of a free pass for polluters to say, oh no, it isn't even the CO2 from fossil fuel burning anymore that we have to worry about. It's the inevitable release of huge amounts of methane that we can't do anything about now. And I have become convinced that while there are many people of goodwill, well-meaning, who have bought into this framing, it's being fanned. The flames of that movement are being fanned by the same polluting interests who are promoting outright climate change denial, because it feeds a similar narrative of, or at least it supports an agenda of inaction.
All right. Esau. Michael Mann got a PhD. Well, check it out, Michael Mann. All I have is a high school diploma. I'm dyslexic. And in y'all world, I would be considered a slow learner. But I do know how to read. I do know how to comprehend. And I know exactly what we are looking at. Now, Lisa reports the weather more than anybody out here. And she's been talking about some of this too as well. And I have a tendency to speak on the spiritual side of things. And I must stay there because that's what my gift is. Right there. Because we all gifted. I keep encouraging the royal family to use them gifts because we're going to need them. And what was running through me was something that my father said. He said, Kimberly, as much as I have taught you how horrible the enemy is and to never trust them, he said, there are some good white folk out in this world. And this is a battle between Esau and Esau. And they know how deranged they people is. They are going out here looking at this and they want us to believe a certain way, and they know how destructive they folks is. It's alarming to them. They scared to death. And so they want to say it's pseudoscience and all these type of things. And we're watching it before our eyes. They have the equipment now where you got satellites, you got drones, and you're seeing the polar cap literally disintegrate. But what got me was those ancient bacteria and diseases. See, like when you go to surgery, they put you, anybody that has surgery, the surgical room is always cold. It's cold for a reason, so bacteria will not grow. But our Father, speaking metaphors sometimes, he said the next time he would wipe this out in fire. Wow. It's deeper than that. The earth is heating up, and that is a form of fire. That is a form of the purification process. But things are also being released. This shit ain't nothing to play with, my royal family. These people are deranged. They deranged. Their leader is deranged. I even heard a video earlier today where Candace Owens laughed off global warming. And people are coming up with diseases we haven't seen in centuries that we read about in books. There are going to be more plagues because the earth is warming up. So it's like a to and fro. As it's warming up, it's releasing all type of organisms and bacteria, and which going to cause people to be sick. And it's very crucial that we have to keep our immune system up. And I will do a video about that. I always do videos about that when they get to that flu season and they putting that shit out here on us. You know, because the question that I would ask the royal family, the people who do believe in HAARP, you have to show me what HAARP does or whatever all that is. And why would you be so deranged that you don't even care about the air you breathe? You're not even selfish enough to say, you know what? I'm worried about my family. I'm telling you, Esau, they on some power trip, you know? So these scientists, oh, hell no. And remember this, my royal family. When we were invaded, that was some of the first things that they took from us, our science. They took our science from us for a reason, because the enemy wants to always be in control, but they can't control us. You know, like when they think they see us out of control, they come up with a law. What are you going to do, Esau? Y'all just going to battle till everything is completely wiped out? Our Father not playing. This is some amazing stuff. Like I said, I'm looking at the precision of Yahweh. Esau was only allowed to rule and reign for 6 days, essentially. We out of our captivity. And all this other stuff is going on in the universe. You know, population is declining in their world and also in the Chinese people's world. These savages, they complete savages, they both come from caves. They both. But this stuff, don't be listening to these people. Don't be listening to these people thinking they the end all and be all. They have absolutely no control. That is it, and that is all, my royal family. So anyway, my royal family, render your voice with your beautiful divine words. And as always, my royal family, I thank you for your love. I thank you for your support. And with that said, Ashe.